This podcast is intended for entertainment purposes only. You must be 18 or older to listen and or subscribe. Anything we say should not be used to diagnose or treat any medical or psychiatric condition. Do not use anything heard on this podcast as a replacement for professional help or an attempt to diagnose yourself or anyone else. We are not licensed professionals. We are not here to treat you. Any similarities to any persons alive or deceased are purely coincidental. We will not be held responsible for any actions taken as a result of anything heard on this platform. All right. It doesn't need to be super long like the other one.
Who are you?
We just have to stay on schedule because.
Where are we? Yeah, I gotta go.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I'm kidding.
All right. Yeah. So because this one will be actually like in 2 weeks, and then this one we're doing now will be beginning of the month.
Okay, that sounds about right.
So yeah, because then the beginning of the month we'll be trying to get back ahead again. Hopefully,
Yeah.
if we can do 2 more. All right, everybody ready?
Yep.
Want to talk about LLC? You want to talk about anything else besides LLC?
It'll squirrel where it squirrels.
We're gonna try not to.
So
We got to get through. The goal is to get to all the classes.
Squirreling's rad.
No, we don't.
I
need-
like the squirreling.
Every
We don't
podcast I
need
listen
to-
to, everybody squirrels.
Yes,
and it's great.
But the point of this podcast is to talk about the classes and not
No,
specifics.
this episode. Point of this episode, not the whole podcast.
Episode.
Yeah.
Yes, but not to talk about specifics because we can do a deep dive on gut stuff and we can do a deep dive on science.
Nobody knows what we're talking about.
We haven't started yet.
Oh,
Exactly.
Yeah.
I thought we were recording.
Yeah,
We
we're
are.
recording. Doesn't mean we started. We don't start until the intro. right.
Which is?
Hold on, I gotta pick.
Oh shit! I was gonna come up with a
Yeah.
good outro. Well, I have time. I wasn't gonna come up with
called
another
homework
intro.
now.
I was gonna come up with a better outro. Yeah, I'm gonna do it while we're talking.
Then us just saying bye.
Hello.
Yeah, this
Hello.
that's yeah.
That's yours.
Better than just
Yeah,
saying.
we can say the
something.
thing. We're making it not. There you go.
I had one.
All right, everybody. Here we go. Welcome back, everybody, to the Fire this kinky carded, and hopefully you guys had a good Christmas because you burned all the bones on the Christmas and Halloween, and you burned all the bones on the fire.
Nightmare Before Christmas. What the fuck are you talking
It's
about?
my Christmas. I don't care about anything else. Halloween is my Christmas.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to say this right now. Christmas in October. Hopefully you burned all the fires last week or 2 weeks ago or whatever it was when this comes out, and you had lots of candy with no razors and all this other crap in there. Maybe you got some Pokemon cards.
Lots of free drugs.
because
Think about Pokemon cards?
Yeah.
Pokemon did a special pack, trick or treating, where they gave out Pokemon cards instead of candy. Got to help them kids stop off the cavities. Okay, that's how we do it. Give them Pokemon cards instead of candy.
Do you know that they have teal pumpkins?
What?
The Teal Pumpkin Project.
You're joking.
the hell is this?
The Teal Pumpkin Project is a way to you literally buy like teal pumpkins and teal decorations to put on your door.
for autistic kids.
No, it's for it's to identify houses that don't give out candy for kids that can't have it, like diabetic kids, things like that.
Oh, that's cute.
So it's called the Teal Pumpkin Project, so that you can
They give out other goodies.
They
like
give
you get
out
a toy
other
instead of
goodies.
candy.
yeah.
That's
So it makes
cute.
it
Pokemon
indicates
cards.
it's a
Yeah,
safe
Pokemon
house
cards,
for
exactly.
kids to trick or treat that
Yeah.
can't have the
Oh.
traditional candy and things.
That's pretty cool.
Keto kids.
Well, hopefully you kids that can't do that crap and have diabetes and all that went to the Teal Pumpkins. So there's that. I would have a Pokemon sign on there. I'm giving away Pokemon cards. No candy here. You're good to go. All right. So Halloween over. We're on to Thanksgiving. Turkey time.
Around the
Gobble.
campfire.
Gobble, 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 gobble. There we go.
We got to come up
Thanksgiving.
with
It's Turkey
something.
month.
Yes.
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 All right, campers. I'm accompanied by,
Ooh, I
on
like
my
that.
right
This is Dame.
and on my left,
Esme
and I
accompanying.
am Sir Cumbiscuits.
I like that better. That's fine. Better than DD.
Better than DD.
I don't know who
CB.
that is. This
Mr.
is-
Biscuits again.
No, this is Cumbiscuits.
Mr. Biscuits.
Yeah, Mr. Biscuits
It's
again.
a theme.
No, sir. Sir
Biscuits.
I've been
I
knighted.
can't call you that.
I'll call him that.
I've been knighted.
Sir Biscuits.
Yeah. You can call me a knight.
Yeah.
You can't call him Sir Biscuits?
I'm
I
Sir
can
Biscuits.
call you Sir Biscuits.
Yeah.
Sir
I've been
Biscuits.
knighted with my steel hard rod. Okay. Anyways, what are we drinking?
What?
What are we drinking?
Is steel hard rod. I have the
I
same
am
thing.
drinking a mango ranch water.
Ooh.
It's actually really good.
Is that better?
It was better than the. I think it's better
I can't
than the
remember.
blood orange.
Yeah, maybe the blood orange was the one I didn't like, and I actually really didn't like the lime.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the
It's
lime.
usually pretty neutral.
I know the lime for this flavor.
All
I
right,
didn't
fine.
really
Let me
like
see
it.
this.
So
Let me
this
taste
is. I'm drinking the same thing. Oh, it's warm almost. It's the mango.
God, you guys are-
It's like my backwash.
No, that's what that is. That bottle
yeah.
is nothing
Yeah,
but
he
backwash.
tongued that.
What do you mean?
Ew,
Tongue
disgusting.
fucked
That
that
was a
bottle.
whole. That was a whole episode. of it.
Notice
We
it's
were
even
both
lighter in
drinking.
color now. Like
Yeah.
it doesn't even
Gross.
look like it's real.
I mean, there's
gross.
less in there. I was drinking it.
The ladies are both drinking Dos Equis ranch water, which I just got after being
was a good
accosted by the
find.
lady in Publix. Yeah, it's
I don't know if I
really
like that.
good,
right?
Really good find.
Than an actual Dos Equis.
It sneaks up on you too. This really sneaks up on me. So
Oh,
yeah,
yeah?
Dos
It
Equis
is.
ranch water, mango flavor. So does Dame. Dos Equis is kind of cute.
you're
It's
gonna
got the
be-
2 X's in the
Gonna
tab.
be more spicy than last time.
More spicy.
More
No, I'm gonna be
spicy.
less spicy. Yeah,
And
gotta keep
I
drinking, too.
once again am drinking my flavored water, and we proceed to
Gross.
begin the ASMR minute.
We need video.
I
Because
did not agree. When did this become part of it? I don't understand.
I don't know because we like
when
watched
this
it.
became part of it. Like it's so disturbing.
He's not even slurping. Oh, he's.
It's like
gulping now.
you're being obnoxious just to be obnoxious.
course he is. That's his
ASMR.
life.
What do you mean?
No, ASMR. That's his life.
It's soothing.
How?
It's great.
Is that soothing?
He just sounded like my ex-husband when he said that. That was awful. Because he used to try. That's some
Horrible.
gas lady
Did I ever
shit.
tell you the one,
Oh my
the little bunny that ate the watermelon? Is
Okay, that's adorable.
I've seen that.
They crunch.
Yeah,
It's
cute as
cute, but I just listen to it with. I like watch it and no sound.
what?
Really,
Yeah.
a bunny? It's
the bunny.
It's not
Yeah.
humans drooling all over shit.
I will
Was
mention.
it another one I heard? Was it that you mentioned in
The
the
turtle?
other? No, the other podcast was the bulldog eating
the
a
bulldog and the
Oh,
turtle.
I did.
Yeah.
Oh, wait.
bulldog eating a steak.
I was
Oh,
talking
no,
about
it
the
was a
bulldog eating
lot.
oatmeal.
That was like 10
Or
pounds
bulldog
of meat.
eating an oatmeal.
I was
yeah,
talking about
yeah.
that.
It was like 10 pounds of meat
Oh,
on that
God.
table.
Yeah.
And then turtle eating all this stuff.
So there is one woman on TikTok that she has come into my algorithm.
Come into no. Okay. sorry.
And I share these TikToks with my best friend because no matter what she does, she never actually eats the thing. It like falls out of her mouth, or she pretends to eat it and doesn't actually eat it.
Oh my God.
And
Seen
now
this.
she like actually there's a video of her, she actually ate something, and so everybody's like, "Oh my gosh, she actually ate
Holy
something."
shit.
Yeah.
I watched those TikTok compilations. I don't want to send it to you, but it's only like one out of like a 20-minute video, so I know you're not going to watch.
Yeah, I'm not going to
You're
watch the whole thing.
But there's always one
Ugh.
TikTok I want to take out of there. But I would have to log into TikTok and like search for the TikTok. But there's a couple of those. But I've seen that one where they're like, "Oh man, that was so good. It was
And
delicious."
it really didn't eat anything.
It's
Like,
like you didn't
nothing.
eat anything.
Or she has chopsticks and she's eating Chinese food, but literally all the noodles fall off the chopsticks and she never actually ate anything.
I would lose my fucking mind if I had to watch that.
I'm going to start sending them to you.
Nope. I'm gonna delete them. That's it.
What is the point of that? I don't understand.
I
Doesn't
don't
make
know.
any sense.
Nope. I would.
She
force
literally
feed
has
her.
a lobster roll and takes a lemon wedge and like shakes it over the
Oh,
lobster
yeah, I
roll.
remember you
like
said
she's-
that.
Yeah.
Was it? Yeah, you told me
Yeah,
that, and I'm like,
it's
she
crazy.
squeeze it, and you're like,
no,
no. I'm
she
like,
just shakes it over
she's getting
it.
the essence of the.
What is
air.
there? What's the point of her thing?
That's
What
how
is
White
The
that?
Claw's made.
ASMR stuff.
Oh,
It's fucking stupid.
for eating it?
Yeah, but she doesn't actually.
She doesn't
eat
swallow.
Or she just makes the noise?
She
Yes.
spits, not swallows.
She doesn't even actually take a
We don't
bite for
agree
most
with
of
that.
it.
She just, like,
the
does
food
this.
never actually enters her mouth.
She's like this.
She's
Yeah,
To drink it.
but then raves about how good it is. But you can tell that she never actually ate the thing.
Delicious.
Yeah,
But yet people are still watching,
that.
so there's
No,
got to
fuck
be
that.
something.
It's crazy.
It drives me insane. What are you doing?
Ew.
All right.
Me of the guy
Well.
who tasted Edie's ice cream.
You ain't got to worry about anything falling out of anybody's mouth in this podcast.
Oh no, I already drooled my alcohol all over myself.
But you swallowed it and you didn't spit it.
I drool once a day. I spill some drink down the front of my shirt.
That's
Usually
fine.
it's
It's
my
your boobs,
coffee.
yeah.
But this
Moisturizer. But this is the podcast where we listen to us,
Yeah. Oh god.
and we are destigmatizing all your kinky and alternative lifestyle things,
Taboos.
and we're trying to make it not. And today,
Trying to make it not.
we're trying to make it not. Today, we're going to talk about LLC, not the business thing, not the actual thing.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about the Leather Leadership Conference.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I got it right. LLC.
yes.
Yeah, no business here. We're going to teach you how to lead stuff. Actually, it doesn't have any.
It's like professional development
Yeah.
for community and organization leaders,
Okay.
like event organizers and
Yes.
community organizers. It's like professional development for that.
So if you guys listen to our Beyond Leather episode, then this is LLC's bigger, right?
Smaller.
Smaller.
Really?
Oh, shit.
Wow. Thought it'd be bigger.
Because it was Atlanta, Georgia. What?
Thought it'd be more national.
What is the third weekend in September?
It's traditionally was held in March, and then COVID hit, and they couldn't have it when they wanted to, but they could have it in September to make up for it. So they had one in September, and now they're turning around and having the next one in March to get back on schedule.
Okay, so it's going to be March for LLC and then May for Beyond Leather?
No, Beyond Leather's in... Maybe it is in May.
It was in May.
Yeah, it is in May.
Yeah. So that's all spring stuff. Okay. That's interesting. That is a little bit easier considering October is very busy usually, socially.
Yeah.
So it's smaller, but it's in Atlanta, usually in March.
Well, a smaller, maybe the same
Too busy for
size,
pub
maybe
crawls.
a little smaller.
She's still on the pub crawl.
It's definitely not larger, but it's a different type of conference.
Okay.
So it draws a different type
But
of
still
crowd.
not actually for leather.
We talked about that.
Well, it has a board, and I would say everybody who was on the board is leather, and it's called the Leather Leader Conference because primarily in most communities, the people who lead things or run spaces are leather because they are community minded and community driven.
The whole damn lifestyle started out leather.
So
it makes
that's
sense.
Why I believe I mean I couldn't tell you, I don't know the history of LLC well enough to be able to give you the exact origins of who started it and when, but I can tell you that traditionally most things that are ran or organized are probably 65% done by leather folk. So LLC.
So led by leather people, but not just for leather people. So if you're not leather, you can definitely come. Don't be scared away by the name.
If you run a munch, if you run an organization, if you run a kink space, anything to do with kink, if you organize an event, then this is for you.
Okay. And I don't know about most people. When I didn't know about it, I too was like, oh, it's leather. I can't go. So not just for leather people. Did you see any interesting outfits this time?
No, it's pretty low key because it's all class based.
Okay.
There's no dungeon. There's no play space. That's not the type of conference it is. It's literally like professional development for kink.
So you went there just for the classes? Were you working at all?
I volunteer here and there as needed, only because I have a personal connection with one of the board members. So I kind of make myself at disposal. But I didn't go specifically to volunteer. I went to attend classes.
Okay. And it was from Thursday to Sunday, Friday?
The classes started on Friday, and they end on Sunday afternoon. But I got there Thursday night, so I could be there for the classes in the morning on Friday. So I wasn't getting there Friday and then going right into classes. I give myself that night before.
Okay. And all the classes are just pretty much just talking.
All leadership based. Yes, there's no hard skills. It's all soft skill classes.
Hey, good callback. Yeah, soft skills.
You
know what those are now. Okay. So, wanted to, I guess we'll go in chronological order here. Want to talk about what you did on Friday? Classes you went to?
So, I went to a couple, they have classes and they have roundtables. So, they'll have very specific group type of roundtables. So, one of the ones that I went to was called Gender Diversity in Leadership, which was geared towards... inclusiveness, like gender inclusiveness, how to create inclusiveness. And it was more roundtable discussion of people who help create those spaces, people who are looking to try to create those spaces, things like that. So it was different people's ideas on how to do it, what works in your community, what are you doing, what do you need, what do other people experience, things like that.
Might be a transferable skill.
Hey,
about.
I like how you put that in there.
What?
Trans.
That was
so like in
awesome.
this roundtable,
race
one of the things that they
age.
talked about was helping the community like dismantle learned assumptions and learned behaviors, because everybody comes in with those.
What do they mean by that? Did they give any specifics?
Dismantling learned assumptions. Well, you assumed LLC was about leather.
Good.
I did, yes.
Yep.
Simply because you heard that word in the name of it, you assumed it was going to be about a certain thing
I also
before
assume,
you ever attended it.
I assume
So if
leather
you-
people are exclusivists too.
See? So if you were to
Like, this
hear
is our
about a
conference.
munch that said, "Oh, this is a munch designed for gender fluid people." If you don't identify as a gender fluid person, you would think it's not for you. So being able to use terminology that is inclusive, so that maybe you aren't gender fluid, but your friends are, or you want to learn more about it, or you want to put yourself in the environment so you can experience how to be more inclusive. So not necessarily like
don't title your
relying-
event like
yeah.
this. That's funny, actually, now that I think about it. It's in the Leather Leadership Conference, and they have it's called Leather Leadership Conference. It's like, oh, don't pigeonhole yourself by titling your event with something.
Yeah.
Oops.
Yeah, a little bit.
Shit.
A little bit.
All right. So do you have any like
Fucked up
standout
already.
tips? Like,
So one of the things that they talked about was meet people where they are and build from there. So everybody, regardless of their gender identity, are on different paths and different parts of their path. So instead of expecting everybody to be at the same level you are, be able to meet them where they are. Maybe this was their first time being out identifying as something that is different to them. Maybe they don't have 5 years experience walking this world with a different gender identity. So instead of assuming that everybody's going to automatically be comfortable in the space because you've created it, being able to meet people where they are and help them
Allow
along.
them grow too.
Yeah.
And allow them to change because they might not know yet.
Not holding everybody to the same expectation based on your experiences or your length of time in it.
Yeah.
so we're not talking about like a physical place, like a park or something.
No. God. Oh, God. Look at his smile. Look at that smirk.
Yeah.
He's such a little shit.
Also, one of the things that they discussed, which I thought was very intriguing, was, gender spectrum. And they asked,
I
is
loved
it
this when you
really
said this.
a spectrum? And one of the questions that they asked was, does a line actually represent things such as binary and fluid? Can you take a definitive line and use this definitive line to describe something that's supposed to be fluid?
I love that. Here, I'm going to draw a picture. It's the color spectrum. Here's white.
So
Here's black.
does it always have to be a straight line to represent a spectrum?
And here's the
Cinnamon.
rainbow.
Which plays into the whole, the world sees
binary, non-binary.
the world has been trained to see things binary.
Well, then also they did
And
the hard
so-
pendulum swing and was like, nothing's binary. Everything's on a spectrum.
So
but
if
sometimes
you are
binary people
trying
are binary.
so if you're trying to retrain the world to not see things so binary, why are we using a straight line to represent a spectrum? Things like that.
I don't like that.
Yeah, it's
That
always
part.
weird because you have
I like
labels,
this part.
and then like,
binary
do the
and there's
labels
fluid.
really matter? But then they kind of give you like a summary of the person. So
Well,
it's
labels
like,
do matter because it gives people a sense of identity
yeah, that
and
too.
a sense of where they can relatability with other people.
Yeah, it gives you a word to describe yourself,
Yeah.
like what we were
Well,
talking
some
about.
people don't like labels too.
No, well, we were talking about when the mics were off, that you don't know how to identify with something and then to describe it to other people and come out as that thing until you have a word for it,
Right.
like demisexuality. It's like, I know how I feel. I don't know how to talk about it, though. I don't have a word. Same thing with the emotions wheel. I have a feeling. I don't know what it is, and so I'm not going to say what it is because I have no idea how to put it into words.
Yeah.
So you've got to know the name, and then you can. It's not even identifying with; it's being able to communicate it out.
I
So
like
yeah,
that.
so it was a really neat round table that I got to sit in and watch and listen.
So was that question like asked by somebody, or are they just kind of like, like philosophically?
I think it was just thrown out there
Okay.
as like
It's a
a
good question.
comment, like a feel for the room, like how do you feel about this kind of thing?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And people don't always stay in one place. People move back and forth and up and down and left and
Yes.
right. Like
So-
Willy Wonka's elevator. It's a
Now
good
keep
elevator.
in mind, like the classes that I attended, they were always one of 2 or 3 other classes going on. So for every class that I attended, there was at least 2 or 3 that I did not get to attend.
hate that. The
So
overlap.
I picked what I thought I was going to get the most out of and what I really wanted to subject myself to either push myself or to help me back in my community. So there were amazing classes across the board, and there were some that were really hard to choose from. Like, okay, I really want this one. I really want this one. And I had to it was a hard decision, but
What are we doing this weekend?
Exactly.
exactly.
I don't know.
You know, I like my itineraries.
Yeah,
too,
I know.
yeah.
So it
I
was,
think
so just keep in mind that these were just the classes that I attended. They were not the bulk or only ones offered. So
it's labeled as a conference, but as we know with all cons, conventions, conferences, and everything, you always have to make a decision. So
But it's not a pub
itinerary
crawl.
based. God damn it.
it felt like one at night, though. Not gonna lie, that's the fun stuff, and
That's what I'm saying. There's no
and that's
dungeon.
the neat
Man, I'd
thing
really
about
love to go to a
this,
pub crawl.
because with conventions like this that are more, everybody's kind of coming on the same page. We all get it.
Coming on.
And so by the time you're done with the classes, by the time you've had dinner, there's so much sitting around, having a whiskey, people smoking cigars and just talking.
That'd be amazing.
Yeah. Plus, you're downtown Atlanta
Afterward.
too, so it's like
Well, nobody
walking.
goes. No, we're not that kind of downtown Atlanta. And so some of the most, as good as the classes were, I thoroughly enjoyed the nighttime when you could just sit with a group of people and talk.
Well, there's
And
no
there's no
dungeon, too,
agenda.
so-
There's no, you're literally sipping on whiskey, smoking a cigar, talking about history and life stories and paths and just all, it's just by far as important to me as the classes were.
Yeah. Plus, you get to go over what you learned and talk about that and how it relates to your specific.
Decompress and
Yeah.
What times are classes usually over? The last class?
Before dinner. There's no classes after dinner. Now they would have
Was it
some
8?
activities sometimes. No,
So like
like
none after
6.
Yeah.
Wow, that's
5
super
or
early.
6. But then everybody goes to dinner, and then sometimes like they had an auction at night, or they had a trivia game at night. So they had activities that you could attend. They just weren't. It wasn't a play. It wasn't intended for play space. That's not
No,
what you went there
not
for.
like Beyond Leather.
Not like Beyond Leather or FetCon or any of these other conventions. It's not like that.
I kind of like
This
that
was
'cause you don't
strictly
have to,
the best way to describe this is consider if you worked in business and you went to a professional development. That's what this
It
is.
is a conference.
It's a true
Yeah.
conference.
That's pretty good because you can focus on the classes.
Mm-hmm.
Because most conventions, you I got to take a nap before the after party, so you kind of miss out on stuff.
No. I mean, you might wake up hungover the next day from socializing,
Yeah.
but like that's the worst of
That's
it.
typical,
Yeah.
doing all that stuff. All right. Well, what was the next class you went to?
The next class I went to was another roundtable, and it was designed for producers, currently producers and dungeon owners, or people who wanted to produce or be a dungeon owner. So it was basically you got to talk about your experiences because everybody lives in different regions. So everybody has access to different things. And so then they were like, okay, so what are some of the challenges that you have had in your community? And they were talking about being able to transition from virtual to in-person. What does that look like? What's worked for you? What's worked for us? Things of that nature. Lack of returning members from pre-COVID was another challenge that they were finding is they're getting an influx of new people that have had the past 2.5 years to do all the research online and watch all the videos and do all the things and talk to people, but they've never actually been in person, which is great. But they're also noticing that a lot of the people that attended pre-COVID are not coming back out. And so they were talking about, what are those challenges? Why is that? How can we find out why?
That happened a lot in our group.
Yeah.
Happened with me.
Things of that nature. Some talked about how their communities sometimes split because of personalities. A group will think that it should be ran this way. Another group will think this way. What do you do if your community is splitting? How do you handle it? And then
We've never had that before.
they talked about the use of technology in today's age, like how you can connect people through the use of technology, what has worked through COVID. And they brought up FetLife and Discord and
Social media.
things like that. Yeah, social media. And how to utilize social media to your advantage now instead. Because for pre-COVID, I will say a lot of the regions are still very secluded. and they have very high vet processes. You still don't kind of get in unless you know somebody or you've been vetted. And so it used to be you didn't put anything on social media because anybody could see it. And now you're subjected to public whatever. If I put that we're having a munch at an Applebee's, anybody can show up and like call us out. Where times have changed, and that's not necessarily how it is anymore. And you can use social media to your advantage to build your community and to build education and interest in things and how to protect yourself from that based on your region and stuff. So
yeah,
that was a really neat roundtable.
That's good information. Yeah, I feel sorry for the people that are like in the Bible Belt having to do this.
It's still rough.
Jeez.
Yeah, it's still really rough.
Yeah, we're fortunate campers. We're in an area that's more accepting of different things. And
you'd be surprised how many states, like actual individual states, don't have dungeons.
Yeah.
Whole states.
Oh, not surprised.
Don't have them. Yeah. The only type of gatherings that you have are when people open their homes, and people are going to be picky about who they open their home to, so they're going to vet.
In some states, there's a low population density, so you probably couldn't even, if you even had the resources to start a dungeon, you can't maintain it because you
can't, because you're in
money.
Order to get the population to maintain an active open dungeon. I mean, you would be expecting people to drive hours to get to it, which just isn't feasible on a regular basis. Not one to keep one open. Now, if you owned a building on private property and it didn't matter, the income didn't matter, you could run a space.
Yeah. Do they talk about the traveling things?
What do you mean?
Well, like we have here in our area, we have a circuit that moves around from place to place. Did they talk about that at all?
Not really. Okay. I mean, they talked about, not like what you're saying. No, that really didn't play a part in it.
Or like to know the specifics of that, having to move around. That might be easier for people with low population densities. Okay. Yeah, that's good information.
Well, and we talked about the use of social media for education as well. We brought up that, locally our classes are hybrid. So people might not be coming out as much because they can access all the education from home from the same reputable places they used to attend. So in their mind, why do I have to get up and go and do this thing when I can sit at home and watch it at home? But on the flip side, how many more people are having access to quality education because they're hybrid?
Exactly.
So it was a lot of discussion like that, like what would work best in people's specific regions, if it's feasible for them, the cost of going hybrid. It was a lot of logistics on top of just recruitment and stuff like that.
Yeah, that all makes sense for stuff that you wouldn't even think of, like the social media. I wonder how putting that information out there is helping or hurting people. I guess people have less pitchforks for that now.
Well, I mean, it's helping people because it's giving them access to more quality and reputable education, but it's hurting communities because people feel the need that they don't have to come out anymore.
Okay.
So it's
I meant
double
the pitchfork
edge.
people. I wonder if they like scanning for stuff now, like, I caught you. We're
not
gonna go
in my experience, no.
Okay, that's good. Yeah. Whew. Okay, that's pretty good. All right, what else? What's next?
The next class I went to was called Trust Your Gut. And the emphasis was making decisions from the inside out. Mm-hmm. And one of the books that they referenced was The Body Keeps the Score. Which there we go. I was waiting for you to chime in on that one.
So excited.
Okay, we'll give a little disclaimer here, folks. We're going to go through this. As you probably are aware, this is one of our favorite subjects. We're not going to go down the rabbit hole, but we are going to.
They're all looking at me.
I just want to say we're all looking at.
They're all looking
when
at me.
He says this.
We're looking at Esmeralda over here, but one of our favorite topics.
Do the people know? So I study. Let me tell the people. I study social science. That's what my bachelor's degree is in, and I love it. And I have a master's, and it's focused in organizational behavior, but I don't want to tell you what it's actually in because it's TMI. And next year I start a counseling master's degree to be a certified counselor next fall.
Very cool.
Yeah, so Body Keeps the Score is a
Body Keeps the Score
Bessel van der Kolk.
It's one of the first and main books that they talked about in this class.
Look that up, people.
And Dame is going to at the end of this lead us through a meditation. So
we are not. I'm just going to eat the fucking chocolate. I'm not doing the meditation.
I could. Yeah, we'll lead the people through meditation.
That's not this chat.
And I'm out.
No.
Oh God.
So, I mean, I don't know how deep you want me to dive into this. So it's basically, so you have
the overview.
You have what's called septions. Okay. And septions are how you navigate the world and make decisions using your body. So, a seption is your perception, is how we act based on the sensory of others. Like, for instance, your first sensory is your sight. What do you see? So you automatically make a perception of something based on what you see. Neuroception is how we act based on how safe we feel in an environment.
Mm-hmm. Nervous system.
Haunted houses. Yeah. You know, it's
your favorite.
Ugh, no. Nocioception is how we act based on how much pain you think it's going to cause you. We're talking physical pain, not emotional pain.
0.
Proprioception is the unconscious awareness of your body moving through a space. So when you're moving through a building, are you consciously like looking for the exits? Do you know how to get out? Are you aware of your surroundings, and are you aware of your environment? It's your unconscious awareness of your environment and how you fit into it.
When I brought that up and I was talking about friends that we have who don't like feel where their body is and they bump into things, was that related to this too? Or
they didn't go that deep.
They didn't? Okay, so
no,
it might be, but we're not sure.
It might be, but they didn't go that deep.
Because that's when I thought of it. I was like, that's what this is. And it was like, oh, it's where you are in a building, like the exits. And I was like, really? So I thought it was more like, are you in tuned enough with your body to know where your hands are? You're not about to put them on the stove, which is very close to you, or like bump into this wall.
It's more of...
Usually that's trauma shit. Like people who can't dance a lot of the time are traumatized.
Right.
And they can't move their body because it's like stiff and they're disconnected from it. And so then one of the ways to get somebody out of it is to move their body for them and to like dance.
To show them that they have that space.
Exactly. Yeah. And then their brain starts to go, oh, I see where
it's safe to do this.
It's safe to do this. Yeah. So it retrains yourself.
You have exteroception, and that's how you behave based on external cues. And so examples are if you've ever been in a crowd and the crowd naturally moves to the right, you move with the crowd. You don't know why, but that's where the crowd's going, so you go with the crowd.
One person starts clapping. Oh, I guess we're all clapping.
You know, you smell popcorn, you automatically start looking for it.
I've learned that because of my culture.
Yeah. So that's one. What? Another one is...
What?
If one person runs, we all run.
We all run.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, well, yeah.
Exteroception can be where your triggers live. So that's the part of you where your triggers live. And interoception is how we act based on how we feel inside. And interoception is ultimately where you want, it's a state of being where you want to be when you make your decisions, when you're trusting your gut.
Like your appropriate intuition?
You're in a state of interoception. It's where you want to stay.
Conscious and sober.
Well, they didn't use sober.
I know. There's a therapist, counselor, whatever I follow, and she says that you're when you're in like a kind of bad space, you're in your addiction, you're in your trauma response, you're in your triggers, whatever.
You want to be in your
Yes, you want to be conscious, not like subconscious in your trigger. Something else is directing you, so you want to actually be in your like conscious state, your mindfulness. And she still calls it be sober,
right?
Because if you're not sober, you're something else is clouding your judgment.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be a substance. It could be just a mental.
Yeah, mine's
state.
My trauma triggers. I'm in my codependent, whatever. Yeah, you have to be aware of what's going on.
So they use all that to go into saying that you should never make a decision if you are in a place of halt. And halt means you're hungry, angry, lonely, or tired. So if you feel in any of those states, have you ever been to the grocery store and bought more than you needed to because you've been hungry?
Fucking day.
My question is, are there people that are not on halt?
Yeah.
Have you ever kicked your ex's car out of anger because at the moment that's what feels good, but you were angry, that's why you did it? Have you ever fucked somebody because you were lonely? And you would have never fucked them if you weren't lonely. You would have never had that interaction with that person if you hadn't been feeling lonely.
Oh, look at my face. It won't stop.
Yeah. Have you ever made a decision?
No. I wasn't. I was today. I was hungry, angry, lonely, and tired. And I fixed all 4 of them. Because I literally was today. And I was like, man, I'm in it. So I ate. I took a nap. I texted my friends. And then honestly, I just wasn't angry.
So you never want to make any kind of significant decision if you are in a state of halt.
Dysregulation.
You want to be in a state or in a place of interception.
Interoception.
I need one of you all to
There
be
you
my
go.
decision top from now on.
You're what?
Decision top. I can't make any decisions. It says I can't be in halt. Mine's like the wheel.
Oh,
Wow.
do you?
I'm-
She's like, oh, and I'm like,
hungry.
oh.
If I'm hungry, I'm not tired. But then when I eat, I'm tired.
I'll happily make your decisions, but I'm going to make decisions that are going to get you out of halt, and you're going to be pissed. So you're always going to be angry at me. Can we turn pissed to annoyed?
Another thing that they talked about was that there's
You poor thing.
there's ultimately 7 steps to decision making. You identify the decision, gather information, identify alternatives or other choices, pros and cons. You make a choice, you take an action, then you evaluate it. And they were saying how everybody gets that this is a thing, and they're able to identify, okay, a decision has to be made. They can gather the information on the decision. They can identify alternatives. And then when they get to the pros and cons is when they get stuck. If anybody's going to get stuck in the decision-making process, it's in the pros and cons, and it becomes a constant loop in their head that they can't get out of.
Good old ADHD brain.
There's like choice
neurodivergents know about
paralysis.
this because you spend all your energy doing all the extras, and
Do
you get
all the
to,
pros and cons, and you can never actually get to a decision because you
spent all
can't
your
get past it.
energy.
Because every time you come up with a pro, you're going to think of a con for it, or everything you think of a con, you're like, but there's a
I
pro
clearly
for
cannot
that.
drink the drink in front of you.
Yeah. So
Then you take
that's
a nap.
if you get stuck in decision making,
You take a
9
nap.
times out of 10,
Take
It's
a
in
nap.
the
I mean,
pros
it's
and
true
cons.
because
yeah,
halt.
you
Yeah.
gotta take a nap.
That was
That's
two
it. I did a good
Princess-
job. I did back and forth. I'm
Two
done.
Princess Bride references.
It was a good
in
tennis
two
match.
podcasts. You
and
would have
then
to take a
another
nap. These
way
things
that
make you tired.
they talked about decision making is, are you making it from the top down or from the bottom up? And top down means that you're starting with your brain and then working down to how your body feels about that decision. But if you're making it bottom up, then you're listening to your body first and then letting that talk to your brain about the decision that needs to be made. So that was another, like a visual way to talk about it. Typically, if you're making decisions from the top down, it's starting in the brain and it's coming from a place of ego or your internal compass. If you're making it from the bottom up, it tends to be more internal, holistic. So, and then it goes into, one of the things that she said that was, because I have these notes.
Hold on, I want to interject, but I'm not going to get into the details. It's just for the listeners. I have a big problem
2 seconds.
with what they said in that last part, and they didn't explain any more of it than what's
Time's up.
They might have
there.
explained more, but these were my
okay.
notes.
All right, I have more to say about both of those.
Your
Top
time's
Because
down,
I
bottom
don't
up
always
things.
write full sentences. I just write like highlights or notes.
Your time's up. Time's up.
So
LLC.
I'm not going to say they didn't do it.
Gonna
I'm just saying.
Burn your. Hold on, I'm going to burn all your
LLC.
games.
Hey.
I'm going to set them all on fire.
What's the point of this?
all on fire?
LLC.
Well, they're giving. If they're
Please
if they're stopping
continue,
there, they're giving people
Dame.
bad advice.
As Dame was saying.
Okay. So one of the things that I thought was very moving that was said is to make a decision from your body, you have to acknowledge that you have a body.
Yep.
Or else you're never going to be able to do it, which I thought was very poignant. And I liked that.
Is this where you lead us in our meditation, your self-awareness?
So then she did some...
When I think about
I actually wrote this at the bottom of the page. I said, she did weird meditation, find your body shit. It's
when I think about you, I touch myself.
So it
All right, so we all
involved-
have a piece of chocolate, and it's wrapped up, and Dame is going to have us hold out our hand with the chocolate in it.
Yeah,
And
I just ate the fucking chocolate. Like I couldn't do it. I couldn't do the meditation thing. I couldn't.
There was a piece of chocolate,
There was a
everybody.
piece
That's
of
where this is
chocolate.
coming
That's
from.
where
Like
it's
the lady
coming
passed
from.
out chocolates and said,
Yeah.
"Okay,
This is
now
why we're gonna
feel
start
the
a social
chocolate.
media, 'cause we
Open
can
the
talk about
chocolate.
it.
What do you
Yes.
think the chocolate will taste like?" I mean, it's
So
a good
very
meditation.
good class. I appreciated the class. I liked the psychology behind the class. There were references to different journals and different books. I really enjoy. It's almost like if you look at my notes, you can tell which classes I enjoyed more than others, because some classes have like 3 pages of notes. And
Dame also
others
has beautiful handwriting
one.
and note-taking abilities.
she does.
By the way, everyone, it's lovely. It's very organized.
you.
and,
Also,
brackets and everything.
just
It's
another
gorgeous.
disclaimer, campers, we could have done a whole 2, 3, 4 episodes on that, and we were
And
holding
we are
back
not doing it
because
right
we were
now.
talking about LLC.
Future episodes.
About what? What?
Trusting your gut. Like we could have gone deeper.
Oh,
into
into any
all
of this
that.
stuff. Yeah,
What do
of
you
course.
mean what?
Well, we're not done talking about it yet. There's still like 3 more pages.
We're talking about... No,
No, this is a different
this
class.
is a different class.
Yeah.
Oh, we're okay. About that class. Okay.
And she's back with us.
There's
So-
another class that we're going to say the same thing about too.
Yes. Almost.
Take bets right now what she was thinking
So
about.
the next class I took was called Time and Energy Management. And I am going to be honest and say I didn't get anything out of it because I live in data. I live in organization. I live by a calendar. Like, I know how to manage and organize my time. I went to the class to see if there was anything I could new or things I hadn't thought of, or I was trying to maybe get the psychology behind it.
Now that would be interesting, because if you already know how to organize, dealing with people who can't and understanding why and where it comes from is extremely important.
So one of the things that they went into is that everybody, we can put it in the middle, that's fine. One of the things that I liked is that they started out with time is finite and we all have the same amount. Period. We literally have the same hours in the day that Picasso had. It's just how you use that time. And here's the one that my biggest takeaway from this entire class was when somebody asks you, hey, do you have time to do something for me? Or, hey, do you have time for this? The answer is always yes. You always have the time to do it. But is it a priority? So yes, I have the time, but is it more important than something I'm already doing? Or is it more important than something I want to do? For example, you've worked all day, you come home and say, somebody goes, hey, do you want to go do this thing? Do you want to? And you say, no, I don't have time for that. It's not that you didn't have time. It's that you're prioritizing something you're already doing over it. So if you change your way of thinking when people ask you, or you're looking at your schedule going, oh my God, how am I going to fit all of this in my day? It's not about fitting everything into your day or fitting everything into your week or to your month. It's what is your priority? What would you rather do what needs to be done? And then you fill in from there.
Yes.
So that was I loved how that was phrased and how it was talked about, and how it's no longer a decision. You're not deciding between necessarily two things. You're prioritizing what's important to you.
Sometimes they say can't or won't.
Exactly. Same concept.
I can't do that.
I can't do
the
that.
Same, except
well, no,
backwards.
You can do that. You're just choosing not to.
That's right.
Goes into the stack.
Because I don't want to.
Because
you just won't admit it to yourself sometimes. That really isn't a priority.
So then they talked about calendars, and one of the downfalls they said about suggesting calendars to people is if you rely so heavy on your calendar, say you schedule everything out on a calendar and you live by your calendar, you have a meeting from 8 to 9, then you're supposed to meet your friends at 10.
What if that meeting runs late?
What if the meeting runs late? And people who live by their calendars don't know how to re-regulate once something's off schedule.
Oh, Lord, there are some you see
people, what I'm saying?
Yeah, they'll literally walk out and be like, I got to go.
I got to go. Because now that one thing's gone wrong, it's thrown their whole day off. They don't know how to regulate. So they were talking about how it sounds logical to just tell people to live by a calendar, but not everybody's capable of doing that.
Yeah, flexibility is scary sometimes.
So here we go. Boundaries. If something has a time, one of the things to be able to utilize your time is to create boundaries. So say you're in a dynamic, you're in a relationship, and I'm going to use you two for an example. And she looks at you.
No, I'm joking.
And she looks at you and says, I really want to talk about X, Y, and Z.
This is every week.
Can we get together on Monday at 7?
Oh, man.
And talk about this? And you look at her and go, yeah, that's no problem at all. On Monday at 7 o'clock, we'll talk about this. You need to be able to create that boundary for yourself that between now and Monday at 7 o'clock, you're not going to talk about it because you've already carved out time for that.
Mm-hmm. And at 7, you are going to talk about it.
And at 7 o'clock, you are going to talk about it. So if something already has a time assigned to it,
you laughed.
Don't spend your time and energy thinking about it until then. It already has a time allotted to it and stick to it.
Oh, he won't. I promise you. Because when I come in, I'm going to be like, hey, we're supposed to talk about this. And he's going to go, do we have to?
No.
How you got 2 minutes is what he's going to say, even though we scheduled 30.
I will tell you what happens is my introvert brain has already gone through the whole conversation in my head.
Care to share?
Ran out of energy.
With your girl?
I gave it time and I ran out of energy.
Oh, fantastic.
So I thought that was very poignant, where if you are going to actually schedule time to talk to somebody about something, especially in a dynamic or a partnership, honor the boundary that you set and allow that time to be that, and don't fucking ruminate until the time. The thing is don't
I've had to
spend
train
time.
myself.
You could be doing other things when you've already allotted time for that thing.
That's actually the good way. You won't waste time talking about something if indeed you do schedule time to talk about it. That helps people with anxious attachment,
because they know they have this finite amount of time to discuss this.
You got it.
And there's an
they
end
know
time.
It's going to happen.
But they also know that there can be an end time. You might not finish
that's
the
good for avoidant people.
But you might not be able to finish the conversation.
Yeah.
But okay, I only have to do this until 9:00, and then we can go and do what we wanted, and we can schedule a time to come back and finish it.
That's good for avoidant people.
Yeah.
For anxious people, they need to know that you've got a time scheduled to talk about it. And for avoidant people, they would say, cool, we'll schedule it at that time. We won't talk about it before then, and we'll take 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Then they're like, cool, it's bounded.
So another thing they wanted you to look at is, what are in terms of organization and groups. So you lead people at work.
Yeah.
What are the things that only I can do? Nobody else in my establishment, nobody else in my group, nobody else in my company, nobody else can do this. Only I physically am capable of doing this. And then what are the things others are capable of doing? And that really comes down to the being able to delegate and being able to honor your own time by identifying specifically things for you, and then looking at, well, no, somebody else could take care of this. This isn't something only I'm capable of doing.
Or I'm doing somebody else's job.
Jeez. A deep dive in all this.
So they also brought up, which I'm not going to get too deep on
I thought you said you didn't get anything out of this.
But when it comes to delegating, well, I'm going over the notes.
Yeah.
Using a Peter principle. Basically, what are people capable of, and being able to allow them to do to their capability.
Yeah, don't promote them higher than their abilities.
I believe there's a ladder analogy here somewhere.
But it actually builds their
trust?
self-confidence, because if you're meeting them where they are and giving them responsibilities at their capabilities, it builds their confidence to be able to do more in the future.
It also helps protect you from being resentful.
And so then I also docked that I needed to look up benevolent dictatorship.
Oh, that's the kind of relationships I run. My house is a benevolent dictatorship.
And then I also needed to look up DISC theory.
Oh, DISC is like Myers-Briggs.
Yeah.
Yeah, dominant.
So it was just something that I did. And to regularly
DISC,
do an
everybody,
energy audit on yourself.
Oh, God.
Every fucking minute of my goddamn life.
Do an energy audit.
Somebody comes to you like,
Fucking
hey,
nap time.
you got a minute? Hold on a second. Do I like you?
Nope.
Okay, you can talk, but I'm not going to listen. Go ahead. Too much energy.
That's what you say to the people you like. You can talk,
Yeah,
but I'm not
there
going to
you go.
listen.
Yeah.
So I'm going to preference and
says that to
say
me all the
the
time.
next class that I did
Uh-oh.
was
Your favorite?
not.
Your favorite?
I took one page of notes and stopped because I
Because fuck it.
So Dame
here's-
says just take some dirt and then rub it in there. Just rub some dirt in there.
So the name of the class was Traumas and Triggers.
Yay.
The class description said
Oh, God.
how to be able to navigate them, basically like in your community, and how to make spaces less susceptible to
Susceptible
to traumas and triggers for people.
What the?
Make
how are
them
you supposed
more
to do that?
safer for people.
Create a
Right.
safe space, but not in.
Basically,
But see,
but-
did they mean safe space kind of like in the shitty way, or did they mean it
No,
like an actual?
in an actual
Create a safe environment.
safe environments is how I took it.
I hope so.
The
But then
direction that the class went in.
did it turn
was
into the safe
more-
space kind of direction?
No, it turned it more into
Say it.
identifying and defining trauma.
Oh. What the fuck? People aren't No.
And they
You can't do that
started
unless you're a
it
psychiatrist. And actually, none of
with
that.
that technically in
I wanna hear about
psychology now.
I want to hear about this shit.
In psychology now, trauma and stress disorder is its own classification.
Hold on. Psychology currently, or
Yes,
Psychology
currently.
Now, like
No,
a
currently.
magazine? Okay, let me look at your notes. Hold on, people.
Well, I can't go through the class without my notes.
This hold on. I'm stealing this. Trauma and stress disorder.
And so then what they did is they brought up PTSD.
okay,
And
they're
they
not
actually
wrong.
went through the clinical definition of PTSD and the qualifiers of PTSD and how many of the qualifiers you have to hit to be diagnosed with PTSD.
Hold on, time out. Abso-fucking-lutely not.
No, they did.
I know. No, I'm
clinical
saying they're not
definitions.
allowed to do that. They can, but that's not going to be fucking helpful because now everybody's going to pathologize each other and go, well, you didn't meet the 12 definitions out of the 23.
You're not a licensed therapist.
No, they can talk about that shit. That's garbage. You know what? You know what therapists say now? They say, did shit go down? Shit went down, didn't it? And you got problems. Okay, we got traumas and triggers then. Shit went down.
But you
So-
said it already. It's a therapist. What are they doing here?
Fuck. They're fucking up is what they're doing.
So they looked
fucked up.
One of the takeaways that I got, which I will literally say that in my notes, that they said that it takes 1 to 2 symptoms to qualify a person that was and they went over the symptoms, but to be honest with you, they were so clinical. I drew a line and it said, and I literally wrote, I can't keep up too fast for clinical explanations.
Who were these
You're
people?
not a licensed therapist.
They might have been, and they would have fucked up. A therapist actually would have never gone through this.
That's what
I'm
I'm
not a
saying.
therapist, and I wouldn't have gone through that. You can't
What is the point of this? What is the point of the class?
feed their ego,
So
like pet themselves.
well, no, I'm not going to go that far because
am.
they were a nice person.
That's fine.
I'm not going to
They
go
can
that
be
far.
nice, and I have
They
an ego.
said
And I'm nice
also
sometimes.
one of the takeaways I took from it was that it's deceptively simple to diagnose PTSD. Like it's not as
You're
simple
not a
as you think, but
licensed therapist.
it's perceived as simple.
I'm
You can't.
Fucking
You're
no.
not a therapist. You can't diagnose this.
And so sometimes when dealing with traumas and triggers, that they said our brains turn into
Me
helpful
too.
toddlers. Where helpful toddlers are like they're trying to help, but they end up making a bigger mess.
codependent. A fawn response.
Yeah.
That's me.
Another thing that they brought up was looking into internal family systems versus DID
Dissociative identity disorder.
versus internal family systems.
Oh my God, they're
So
and I
we
see right here it
all-
says subspace is a form of dissociation.
So we all have
then-
an internal family system, and what that means is we have Well, put it back to a podcast that we did previously.
Mm-hmm.
We have a representative for our work. We have a representative for our family. We have a
It's like
representative. with
hold
our
on,
students.
representatives are like masks you wear, so you can
you are this
flip into
person
different.
in this environment. You are this person in this environment. Technically, we all walk around with that internal family system, but there is a distinct difference between having that internal family system and somebody with DID.
Okay. One thing before we go, we're just
Yeah,
we're
this
gonna
is
cut
way
this one
too-
short because
no.
we're all triggered, but we're
This is
running
way
out of
too.
time.
This is way too
so
into the weeds.
we're gonna
too.
cut this because
Fuck.
how's DID? You can't diagnose this unless you're a therapist. Like what the
So
fuck?
one thing I want to end on
Right.
with this class is one thing that I did appreciate that
Okay,
I
yes.
liked, a good takeaway for me
I want to hear
was
this.
a spiral staircase perspective.
Okay.
So if you think of a spiral staircase, when it comes to triggers, right? So when you're at the bottom of the staircase, looking out
wait.
the windows, like you have the windows going up the staircase, like a lighthouse. Think of a lighthouse. When you're looking out the window, you don't see it because
Right.
you're on the ground level with it. But when you go up one level, you have you don't see it, but you're prepared for it because you know it's there because you've already gone up a level, right? You go up another level and you can see the signs because you have a different perspective of it. And then when you get to the top, you can actually see it before it happens. You can be preemptive about it because you've already been through these other stages. So you're still looking out at the ocean. It's the same ocean, but it's changing your perspective based on your experience with it. I liked the analogy of the spiral staircase, like a lighthouse. Looking out the same window, looking at the same view of the same thing, but your perspective of it is different based on your experience with it.
They talk about that in AA. It's like the spiral of self-healing or something. You go up this upward spiral, and even if you fall back to a lower rung, you'll never be down at the bottom where you were because
You're never blindsided again.
you can't unknow what you
Right.
already know.
Exactly.
So you look down and go, oh, I might feel kind of shitty today, but at least I'm not 4 rungs down, and I'm never going to be 4 rungs down again because it's impossible. I can't unknow everything I've already learned.
So here's another one that I'm going to leave you with that you can write a note about. There is a clinical study out that shows that if you are experiencing a trauma or trauma response, that if you play Tetris, it will help regulate you. There is something about the brain sorting shapes and colors and all of that. They've done literal clinical trials and studies that just simply by playing Tetris, it can help you re-regulate out of that trauma response or that trigger response that you're in.
Yeah.
I'm going to do that in my head.
Puzzles work too.
Yeah. So that was, I had never heard that before.
Literally going to do that in my head. Yeah, that's the kind of weird shit I know. So good. I'm going to remember that one because I like Tetris. I'm a big fan.
Tetris, puzzles, doing chores too.
Big fan. Chores don't help me.
So
it depends.
I will say that I
Chores
did
make
not
it worse
take,
for
I only
me.
took a page of notes for this class because they went so deep
That's
into
too
the
much.
clinical explanation.
Yeah, I don't know why they did
of
that.
all of that. That
even mention
Hold on.
desserts.
Clinicians know not to do that. So I don't know who
Because then you're gonna have random people like,
People
oh,
were-
I know what PTSD. You have PTSD. You're not a licensed person. You can't diagnose that. Yeah, I would have stopped it. Like, these are the signs, and if this person needs it, then you can't do anything about it.
I
They
don't
need
even-
therapy.
Yeah.
so
I wouldn't even touch it.
It's cool that they did. So that's obviously pretty
Yeah.
awesome. But yeah, that sucks. We all fall into that trap lately. I do too, obviously. I get all these books and I'm like, oh, look at all this stuff.
are we going
I
to keep
know.
going or
Yeah.
how much time do we have?
That was a
Do we have enough time?
That was a deep fucking dive.
About 15 minutes.
Okay, so the next class was one of my absolute favorites. By far, one of my favorite classes.
Let's just talk about this
It
one
was
the rest of the time then.
conducted by a gentleman who was
Oh,
on
yeah,
a
it's the last
research
one.
team in North Illinois University. And it is literally the science of BDSM. So he's doing clinical science studies on BDSM. And it's so intriguing. They do, one of the things that they reported was the use of, for academic research, they did use the Carter Johnson Library.
Oh wow,
Which
that's cool.
we have access. Well, you can quote. You can use that as an academic reference in published articles. That library has been verified to use. The LA&M, Our Lives, Our History. Robert Bienvenu, I think is how it says. Bienvenu.
Yeah, that's a word.
So,
Bienvenuto is welcome. Isn't
one
it?
of the big questions that they tried to answer in one of their clinical studies, and this is like sponsored by, they get grant money. One of the questions they asked is, why are people into this stuff? Like, they tried to answer just a simple question like
That's
that.
my
Lucky.
biggest question.
Yeah,
Yes,
and
because
you know what
that's in
they
the
found
DSM.
out? There is no distinctive cause of origin.
Exactly. That's
Yes.
why it can't be in the DSM
All different
as
types
a
of things.
problem.
Okay.
Yep.
We're
And
gonna
they
skip
said-
this because
they
we're
said,
gonna
we
do
don't
it.
know
We're gonna
because
do an
there's
episode
no
of this.
distinctive
Yeah, we'll do it.
origin.
Let's do a whole
Lucky
episode of it.
bastards.
Okay.
We want their jobs.
I'll
and
skip
We're
it.
gonna skip past
Notice
this.
there's like 3 pages on
Campers,
skipping.
we'll talk about this later, probably in a whole episode.
This is like our most favorite thing to talk about in the whole fucking
Lucky
world.
bastards. No, I hate these people.
So another class.
Stole my job.
Jealous. You can still do it.
Okay, so I took 1, 2, 3.5 pages in
I ain't
notes on
got
this
time for
class.
that.
Oh, what class is it?
It's called Abuse Proof Your Community.
Oh man, we got it. These are whole separate topics.
Yeah.
This
And
is like
so
a
it
whole
went
nother podcast.
into what sexual harassment is and is not.
Ooh, that's
And
subjective.
how the rain.org has a different definition than the EEOC does.
What the fuck are those? No, I'm out.
That
Too much.
under sexual coercion, there's unwanted sexual attention, gender harassment, and it's a progression of severity in sexual harassment or sexual coercion and what it looks like. Went into victim blaming and how a lot of it is they're mirroring neurons. And what that means.
Fucking okay.
And what role that plays in witnessing sexual harassment.
Yeah, or being susceptible to
Right.
all this.
I'm paraphrasing everything because I think this could be a whole
It is.
episode.
This
Yeah,
is more
these
than a
last
whole
two.
episode.
Identifying abusive patterns And one of the things that they referenced was an empirical investigation of sexual harassers towards a perpetrator topology from 2003 that they referenced for that. Looking for patterns of behavior, vulnerable abuse. And then they went into what different specific types of abusers there are and what makes them.
So hold on. I'm going to back all the way back up. Who put on this specific topic?
I'm not naming in presenters.
No, I don't mean I don't want to know a name. Like, what's their background? Do they have a background? Are
I
they
believe
like
police
detectives?
The person that put this on is a therapist.
Okay, that's good.
They are licensed.
Fantastic. Thank
Yes.
God. Okay. So
Okay.
they're getting
I had
into
to think for a minute between my classes. This person is licensed.
Okay.
Yes. So there's vulnerable abusers, persistent abusers, exploitative abusers, malicious abusers, and so what they all look like and what makes them up.
Patterns of behavior.
Yeah, bystander intervention and what that looks like and what the bystander effect is.
Yeah.
And there's 4 types of bystander interventions: direct, distract, delegate, and delay, and what those individually look like.
I got some videos for you.
And then plans of act, like how to act and, what you can do. So that was another class that I went to.
Oh my God.
So for these classes, do they relate it as like a leader in the community, what you should be doing specifically? Or they just give you a bunch of information?
Yes and no.
Okay.
A lot of it was just a bunch of information, some relatability in it, like through examples and scenarios. Like in this scenario, what would this look like?
Okay.
Things like that.
That'd be great. That'd be unfortunate if they didn't relate it exactly like you just said for like, hey, so you guys are leaders. We're telling you all this because you can use this information to
Or what to do. Like
mitigate.
the specific type of abuser in this situation, you should just call the cops.
as a leader.
Well, like, okay, so like looking for patterns of behavior. For somebody who is, let's say, a persistent abuser typically is older than the people they target. They have a form of active partnership. They're conventionally unattractive, but they're more educated than people that they target. And they typically have more power or position. So that's what I'm saying. Like, they dig into the...
See, as a non-leader, I just want to punch that person in the nuts or the
A vulnerable abuser is typically
What if it's a woman?
quiet.
pussy.
A vulnerable abuser is typically quiet, has low status. They're viewed as harmless, or they are viewed as like, oh, they're just in love, and they typically only
vulnerable
have
narcissist,
one
it sounds
target at a time.
yeah.
I think we have
So
a
that's
couple
what
of
I'm saying.
names
So-
we
Got
can
a bunch of
specific.
them.
Like
Got about 10.
exploitative abusers are usually very outgoing and confident. They use position to control. They use questions like, "Are you sure?"
Oh, I hate that. Yeah, that makes you second guess your
They're
gut.
always
by the way.
attracting new people, and they're usually always established. Malicious abusers tend to be competitive and violent. They have they go after lower skilled people. They claim target provokes abuse. Like, oh, well, they wore that dress because they knew it was my favorite dress. Or they wore that color because they know I like that color.
Let's look at this.
Yeah,
She clearly wore my favorite color.
No.
Or they use the term like it takes two to tango. That would be a malicious abuser.
Yeah, let's put a bookmark in this one here. We will go back to this camper because good Lord Almighty.
That could be a whole class.
Yeah, we'll talk about it later. How it relates to what you should do in that situation.
So the last class that I took was the most controversial for me. It was the most heated. It was the most antagonistic. And it did not bode well for a lot of people.
Ooh.
It was...
Why didn't we talk about this offline a minute ago?
We hadn't
What the
got
fuck?
there.
We didn't get there, yeah.
Damn it.
It's the difference between calling in versus calling out.
The hell does that mean?
Where if you see somebody, like, say, a consent violator, like, say, Dee Dee over here is a consent violator.
No.
Biscuits, Mr. Biscuits. Sir Biscuits.
I don't like being
Say
used
Sir
in this.
Biscuits over here is a
You don't like
consent
what?
violator. The difference between calling him out in the community on his consent violation or calling him in and fixing it interpersonally.
Oh, I have issue with this shit. Yeah, this would be a great... Oh, I love this. man, I'm a caller outer. I want to always call them out.
So
Oh,
that
this
was
is
the
great.
last class, was calling
no,
in versus calling out.
He can be rehabilitated. They do this with women a lot. Covert narcissists. Like, yeah, I shouldn't keep saying that, but whatever. They do it. There's this nasty gender bias where women are the harmless ones, and they're like, no, she's just like this. If somebody would just talk to her, then I'm sure it would all be fine. She just needs a little bit of help. She's just, she's just lonely, or she's just got some mental issues. Like, she's been committed 4 fucking times. Are you serious?
Too many names.
Oh, God.
So in this one, did they give an opinion either way, or they just gave information?
Oh, no, it was full of opinion.
Really? Ooh.
Full of opinion.
Yeah, we'll have to.
It was
fun.
very heated.
I get the vibes of that, the previous podcast campers where somebody went to a specific hotel room and had a...
very heated. It was more abrasive than that.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, okay, we're going to have to talk about that
Wait,
later.
what? Hotel room? What?
You forgot about the previous
Scene
time?
versus session.
Oh, God.
I'd love to know
I
what
thought
the
you meant
science
just-
of BDSM people would discuss. Like, what
Look.
number song in the...
That's my song. Get off my song.
Dopamine hip?
The 2-foot mental radius.
Yeah, I don't know what
the
they would
brain
think.
waves.
I would
Oh, this is
love
the
to see what they
best.
Yeah, the
think about
2-foot
that.
brain waves.
I'm going to read this after we...
You can take the
Okay.
book home with you if you want to go over the
no,
notes.
you'll never get it back.
Oh.
All right, so we're gonna finish up on that. We're just
So
gonna
as a whole, I highly recommend, if you organize a munch, if you host play parties, if you work at a dungeon,
Wanna start a dungeon?
anything, if you want to start a dungeon, anything to do with community, go to LLC and take these classes,
Not just
because it is
leather.
a wealth of information. It is done in a very caring and safe environment. Everybody is there for the same purpose, to learn and be better and to share their information. And I absolutely am doing everything I can to go back in March, because they're going to have all different classes. They have different classes every convention.
Oh wow, okay.
So I'm actually considering teaching in
Good.
March.
Please
We
do it.
will spoil it. We will leave you all with a teaser there.
I'm gonna put in an application to teach. We'll see if I get accepted. But
We'll
sure
go
you
over
will.
your notes. You can do a little practice session.
But I highly, highly recommend that if you have an inkling of doing anything, organizing a bowling night.
Would you
Go and
say
take
this
these-
is not just for kink people communities, is it like swingers and other?
I will
alternative
say the
people?
only thing with involving poly spaces like swinger or open, or things that are more
Non-monogamous?
sexually driven in
Sexually
nature,
driven, okay.
is that they don't go over those, because they operate off different rules
Mm-hmm.
and different protocols, and those aren't talked about at this convention. This is kink related.
Kink stuff.
This
Okay.
is kink stuff. I'm sure you could take a lot of these things and apply
Oh
it.
yeah, and there's abusers in all of it.
Right. You can see it in all of it, but
Bad
when you
behavior's
start
bad
talking
behavior
about
everywhere.
specific spaces and
Yeah.
the way spaces operate and how to operate them,
And these are more. This was
is
focused on kink spaces.
This is kink spaces, yeah. Kink
All
events.
right. Yeah, we got a bunch of teasers there, people. So we will go through all of that and give us all your opinions on sciences and abuse proofing and calling in versus calling out. We're gonna name specific people and throw them to the.
No, we're not.
I am. Throw them right on the
We're
fucking
not
bus.
doing that.
I'm noticing that Dame uses the same symbol for change that I do, the
It's
delta.
a math symbol. Yeah.
I used it in chemistry.
Yeah.
So I use that in my notes too.
Yeah.
We all
That's
learned
so
that all the
funny.
sciences are related and they all come from math.
Yeah, it's true.
I think it's great that you can read my notes.
Oh yeah, they're beautiful. This is how I write. This is
Great.
gorgeous. This is what's how I take
right.
notes. So of course I
Yeah.
like it because it's how I take notes.
So this is going to end this because we actually are running out
We're,
of
like,
memory
so
space.
freaking
We
late,
have
too.
filled up
I'm
the
tired.
memory card. Yay!
The girl's tired.
And
Yeah.
it's late. All right, people. That was LLC. Please check it out. March.
Please, please, please. They have their own
Atlanta?
website. So you
Atlanta?
can go on their own website,
Yep.
see their class
You wanna
list,
plug it there?
pre-register at
Leather Leadership
leatherleadershipconference.com.
LeatherLeadershipConference.com.
Nice and easy. All right.
All right. And giving us the overview on my right was...
Dame.
And on my
Providing
left is...
useful commentary, interjecting inappropriately and
She actually
frequently.
held back
was
her
Esme.
opinions. Esmeralda held it back
You did
there.
good.
Oh, yeah,
Thanks.
She held back.
You did really good.
Yeah,
And
there were
I
just a
am
couple, but-
Sir Cum Biscuits.
I
full of
feel like that was
so
just a
much
blur of
juicy
information. Like
information.
it went so quickly.
I mean, what
Like,
apparently
holy
was in the
crap.
conference too.
Yeah, we could have gone
such a blur.
further. Yeah.
And every class is only like an hour and a half.
Jesus.
So you literally go through all of this information
hour
in
and
like
a
an
half.
hour and a half.
Was that science at BASM, a class or
Hour
a
and a
round
half.
table?
A class.
It's a
PowerPoint.
I want a round
He was a
table.
true professor. PowerPoint class.
I have so many questions for him. I want a round table. Oh, God. All right.
Oh,
So
you got his.
this
you
is
got
the
his thing
Kinky Campfire.
Wow.
Go enjoy some turkey. I don't know what the next
You don't
next
know
one
when
might
this is
be.
going to come out.
I do know when this is coming out. I don't know if it's before or after Thanksgiving. So this is
Enjoy
probably-
your holidays. How about
Yeah.
that?
Well, we
There
might
you
have
go.
one more. We'll see y'all
We'll have
later.
one more. Enjoy the
Yeah.
whatever holiday is coming up next.
Hello.
And goodbye.
Whatever. See you guys next time.